Hello, and welcome to our training video on how to use the new digital survey system for the Austin-Travis County 2020 point in time count. This slide lists the web address and access code you will need to access the survey system. For the 2020 point in time count, we are ditching the paper and pen surveys and using a digital survey system you will access on your smartphone. If you participated in the 2019 PID count, the survey questions will look familiar, but the new digital survey system should make collecting information quicker and easier than in the past. We will be using a PIT survey application created by Hyperion Data. You can visit their website, pointintimecount.com, for more information on their product. This presentation will walk you through everything you need to know to complete surveys during the 2020 PIT count. You will access the PIT count survey via your smartphone's web browser. Chrome is probably the most popular mobile web browser, but any browser should work. There is no app to download, and everything is done within your browser. First, navigate to volunteer.pointintimecount.com. If your phone asks you for any permissions, like to access your GPS location, select Allow. You will land on a page that asks you for a PIT count code. This code is how you will connect to the specific survey for Austin-Travis County. We have set up a survey for everyone to practice on leading up to the count. The practice survey is identical to the survey you will use during the count, but all the information you enter will be discarded. To access our practice survey, enter the code seen here. After you enter the code, you will be asked to enter your name and phone number. It's important that you enter accurate information here to allow us to track, monitor, and troubleshoot during the count. Once you get logged into the system, you'll land on the survey homepage. The header at the top of your screen should read Austin Echo. On the survey homepage, you will see a map showing your current location. The system automatically uses your phone's GPS location to tag the location of each survey you complete. If the location shown on the map looks incorrect, or if your phone has lost its cell connection, you can tap the Use a Custom Location button. In the space below, type a description of your location, such as an address, street intersections, or landmarks nearby. You can also select between English and Spanish for the survey language. By default, English is used, and you do not have to select it from the drop-down. Before you begin collecting any information, you will choose between using an observation or interview version of the survey. The general volunteer training will go into more detail on when to use each type of survey. If you're unable to speak to the individual you have located, you will select the observation survey. If the person is able and willing to speak with you, you will select the interview survey. Next, we will walk through the surveys, beginning with the observation survey. The observation survey is fairly brief, and the information you enter is based solely on what you can safely observe. We understand that it may not be possible to answer every question with complete certainty, but please complete the survey using your best judgment. The first question asks why you are using the observation survey. Select the answer that best applies by tapping one of the bubbles on the left-hand side. Next, you will enter demographic information for each person you found. Tap the Add New button to begin entering this information. Tapping Add New will bring you to the list of demographic questions. Answer these questions to the best of your ability. For each item, select the answer that best applies by tapping the bubble next to that answer. For race, you have the ability to select more than one option. Every other item will only let you select one response. After the demographic questions is a box where you can enter unique identifying characteristics of the person you found. It's very important that you enter a good description so we can make sure no one is counted twice. If there is more than one person in the same spot, you can select Add New again to enter information for the other person. If you tap Add New accidentally, just press Remove to get rid of those questions. Once you finish entering the information for the current survey, you will tap the Complete button to submit the survey and return to the home page. If you have forgotten to answer a required question, you will receive an error message directing you to correct it. It's important to note that once you press Complete, you will no longer be able to edit your survey. Please check that you selected the appropriate responses before tapping Complete. Completing an interview survey follows the same process as the observation survey. From the survey homepage, check that your location on the map looks accurate, select your desired language, and tap Interview to begin the survey. The first page of the survey provides you with a short script to introduce yourself to the person you found. It is not necessary to read this script verbatim, but it is helpful to provide some kind of introduction before jumping straight into the questions. There are no answers to input on this page. Once you're done with the script, tap Next to move on to the questions. The first question helps us avoid duplicate surveys by asking the person if they've already completed a survey that night. If the person answers yes, tap that answer bubble, then tap Next, and you will return to the survey homepage. No survey information will be recorded because that person is not eligible to complete another survey. If you mark No for the first question, the next survey question will appear. The next question asks where the person slept the night before. This question can be confusing for some people, but keep in mind, since we are interviewing in the morning, last night in this case refers to just a few hours before. It is important that you do not read the answers listed for this question. Instead, tap the bubble next to the answer that most closely matches the individual's response. You can type in a response for Other if needed, but most responses should fall within one of the listed categories. Tap Next to progress to the next screen. If the person answers any of the last 5 options for this question, such as emergency shelter, transitional housing, jail, house, or motel, the survey will automatically end when you press Next and you'll return to the home page. This is because none of those locations qualify as homeless, and therefore the person is not eligible to complete this survey. Questions 3 and 4 ask you for the number of people in the household you are interviewing. Household in this case is defined by the people you're talking with. If the individuals are staying together and identify as a family unit, you can consider them part of the same household. Tap the Choose box to select the appropriate number of people. The rest of the questions on this screen will ask you to collect demographic information for the person you are talking to. Please do not read this section of the survey like a script. Part of your responsibility as a volunteer is to become familiar with the contents of this survey. Practice asking these questions to find wording you are comfortable with. The more conversational you can make your language, the smoother the survey is likely to go. The demographic questions on this page of the interview survey largely match the questions from the observation survey, with the addition of one question asking about military service. As on the observation survey, you do not need to enter an exact age for the person you are talking to. Instead, you'll select the age range that applies. At the bottom of the page, you will type out a description of the person you are talking to. Again, it is important that you provide a good description to help us avoid counting anybody twice. Tap Next when you are finished entering the information to move on to the next screen. On this page, you will collect the demographic information for every other member of the household you are interviewing. As on the observation survey, you will tap the Add New button to begin entering information for each additional person. Make sure the number of people you collect information for matches the number of household members you identified on the previous page. For example, if you indicated on the previous page that the household has 2 adults and 1 child, you will record information for the second adult and the child on this page. For relation to head of household, you will type in their response. At the bottom of the page, you will type in a description for each person. Tap Next when you are finished entering information.
A note on descriptions. It is important that you provide a good physical description of the individuals you locate to help us avoid double counting. However, taking the time to write out a description in the middle of a survey can feel cumbersome. Many volunteers choose to write their descriptions after they have finished interviewing the person or people they located. The digital survey app will allow you to skip past the description boxes by tapping the Next button at the bottom of the page to continue with the survey. Once you make it to the end of the survey, you will use the previous button to return to the pages with description boxes. Keep in mind that you need to provide a description for every household member. Please double check that you've entered all your descriptions before you tap complete at the end of the survey.
All the questions on this page refer to the head of household only. Question 13 asks, how old were you the first time you were homeless? You will type in a numeric response for this question. Question 15 asks, how long the person's current episode of homelessness has lasted. People will often fall in and out of homelessness, and for this question, we are only interested in how long they have been homeless this time. Do not read the responses for this question. Instead, select the range that best matches the individual's response. Both questions 16 and 19 allow for multiple responses. You may select all the answers that apply. The next page asks for identifying information for the person you are talking to. This is completely optional, and many people may decline to provide this information. If the person does not wish to provide this information, tap No, then Next to progress to the final page. If the person answers yes, you will enter as much identifying information as they want to provide. You are not required to fill in answers for every question on this page. Tap Next once you have entered all the information provided. The final page provides space to enter any additional notes you want to record. This field is not required. You may tap the Previous button at the bottom of any of the survey pages to return to the previous page. You can use this feature to edit any of the responses you already recorded. Please do not use the Back button on your phone. Pressing your phone's Back button will return you to the survey homepage, and any responses you entered for that survey will be lost. When you have finished collecting the survey information, tap Complete to submit the current survey. Once you submit a survey, you will be unable to make any further edits. Pressing Complete will return you to the survey homepage, and you're ready to start a new survey. There's a counter on the homepage that shows how many surveys you've completed. This tally will increase with each survey you submit. You are encouraged to practice completing surveys. The system will remain open for you to use leading up to the count. On the day of the point-in-time count, January 25th, 2020, we will send out a new access code. You will need to log out of the system and enter the new code to begin entering surveys for the pig count. To log out, tap the person icon in the top right of the screen, then tap Log Out. Logging out will return you to the page where you enter the survey access code. Your team lead will have paper versions of the pig count survey available if you run into problems with the digital survey system. Keep in mind that you can continue entering digital surveys even if your phone has lost its cell connection. Your phone will store this information and transfer the data once you have a connection. The information collected is the same across both the digital and paper versions of the survey, but some of the questions are worded slightly differently. If you have any questions about the digital survey system, feel free to reach out to the pig count organizers at pointintime@austinecho.org. Pig count information and training materials are available on ECHO's website at austinecho.org/pit. Thank you for volunteering to help with the 2020 pig count. The results from the pig count are vital for securing resources, and the data from the count helps inform our community's strategies for combating homelessness. The pig count cannot happen without community support, so thank you for donating your time and efforts. Please invite friends and family to participate in the pig count with you. We can never have too many volunteers.